Hello, so this is the last video about the short story that you had to read, and especially this film, which is an animated version of the short story, so a visual adaptation of what was written by Edgar Allan Poe. So it will be a short video just to point out to some parallels and some differences and what this animated version, so if this animated version serves the text or not. So what you can notice first is that it's a really faithful adaptation because it's really close to the story. It is faithful to the plot, it is faithful to the events, to the story, to the characters, and it's also faithful to the text because I don't think there are lots of words which have been changed, and it's really close to the text written by Edgar Allan Poe. So what the changes that are made are mainly what is made explicit by the visual aspect of an animated version, and what is made explicit by the images, the sound, and the animation. So this version helps to visualize what was written and what the reader had in mind, what he thought and imagined when he read the text. So it makes the story a bit more realistic and more explicit. So first, what you have to notice is if you concentrate on the exposition, on the first part of the scene, so which corresponds to the first paragraph we have analyzed. So we have a clear identification of the man as a madman because he can't move and he is surely in an asylum. So the viewer has no doubt about the identity of the man and of the fact that he's mad because he has been imprisoned in this form of cell from which he can't escape. Whereas in the text, you could have some doubt, and that was what made the text interesting, and the relation between the reader and the writer, interesting, and made the reader curious whether to know whether the main character was mad or not. And here it's explicitly stated from the first image of the film. Then, in terms of context, the relationship between the old man and the madman is explicit in the video, or seems to be explicit, even if there is some ambiguity, because here from the portrait it seems that that the madman, so he's younger than the old man, obviously, and it seems that this painting is a family portrait, so with the wife, the husband, and the son. So it makes us even more curious and even more uncomfortable, because the relationship between the supposedly son and supposedly father is really ambiguous, because the son in the video, the son is used in a way as a servant for the old man. So a relationship which is supposed to be close and which is supposed to be based on love and trust, and so this relationship is turned into a relationship between a form of master and servant, between a person who is superior and a person who is inferior, with less rights and with more obligation and duties. Right. So now, in terms of atmosphere. The animated version is really playing on this fear factor, if you want, on the creation of anxiety and tension and horror and terror. Even if since it's an animated version, I think for me it creates less tension and less fear than the reading of the text. So to create some tension and to try to recreate the Gothic atmosphere, there is a play on the sound effect. And since the beginning, if you remember, you've got the sound of the keys of the cell of the madman, so you can hear the keys without seeing them, and the screen is totally black. So this is one way to play on the sound. Obviously you also have lots of music, and especially at the end, where you've got a classical music and you've got a crescendo in this music, which is suddenly stopped, and which can remind us of the twist at the end of the short story. So this is for the sound effect. In terms of visual, you've got lots of close-up, so a focus on the face of a character, a focus and even close up on the eye, so which is logic because you've got the recurrent you've got the leitmotif of the vulture eyes, but there is also, which is not present in the short story, a focus on the mouth and especially on the teeth. So the mouth of the madman and his laugh and his sinister laugh, and after, at the end, the film focuses on the laugh of the policeman while the madman is tortured by the sound of the beating of the heart of the dead man. So in a way, this sound is turning its back on the madman, who is the criminal in this story. And so one more element maybe it's so the visual representation of the fragmentation of the body. So fragmentation of the body of the dead man as the madman cuts the different limbs of the man, but also when he is admitting his crime at the end, you can see different faces of the policemen who these faces seem to haunt the madman. So you've got an explicit fragmentation of the body of the corpse, which is echoed by the fragmentation of the mind of the madman to insist on his madness. So this animated version clearly make it explicit that this man is mad. Okay, this is, I think, the main difference is what was left implicit and ambiguous in the short story is really made visual in this animated version. So the creators of this animated version decided to show that the madman was really mad, and that was not invented by the reader or the listener. So I hope it's clear for this last part, and I hope you enjoyed the graphic of this animated version, which I think is really interesting and really helpful to understand the short story. So now, the last work that I'm going to ask you to do, and the last work for this year. So for next week, for Tuesday, the 4th of June. So I want you to write a fictional report of the crime. So as it is a fiction, as it is a police report, so this is done by one of the officers that arrived in the house after the crime. So remember that the officers arrived in the falling action, in the part falling action, so they can't have seen everything and they can't have heard everything. So you need to be coherent from the moment when they arrived in the house. So it's the point of view of the officer, and it's an officer who is writing it, so you use the first person narrative, I. Okay, be careful, so with the time, the place, and the moment they arrived. In a report, in a police report, you need to focus on facts. There is no point of view, only the facts about the place, the people, the action, why you were there, how you knew, and if the culprit admitted his crime, and what happened after he committed his crime and how he committed his crime. So lots of details that you can find in the text. Some details you can invent but remain coherent. So in a way you are making what is between the lines in the short story explicit in your report. So be careful, it has to be factual and it has to be descriptive. So you need to invent what happened after the madman admits its crime, because it's not in the short story, until so the police officers leave the house, and this is the end of your report. So in terms, so if we, here I added a checklist, so all the information that need to be found in a report. So the description of the crime scene, so the crime scene is not the scene, so address, time, date, what type of crime, evidence, and location of the crime. Then you've got a chronological narrative of what you saw, of what you heard, so why you came to this place, who was present, what did the culprit or witness, so here there is no witness, but the culprit is the one who committed the crime. What did he say? And you can quote him. This is very useful in a report because it sticks to the facts. And the description of the crime, the description of the corpse, maybe, what evidence, what type of evidence did you find? Did you arrest this man? And how did he react to the to this? Then if you want, you can add details about the other officers or other elements. Right, so this is what you should put what you should write in your report. In terms of English, you need to be careful with the grammatical tenses. You can use the simple past, the past in ing, or the pluperfect or past perfect, right? But this is a story that you are, it's a report of something that happened in the past, so there's no use of present. And the first person, I forgot, the first person singular, so using an I, right? So if we look at the grid, so it's what I said, chronological organization, the different items from the checklist, how well you know your short story, and were you creative when you imagine the end after the madman admits his crime. Then English, are you accurate and did you take risks with your vocabulary? Right, so this is the last work. I hope you'll enjoy the work. It's only the grade we can only boost your other grades, so you take no risk by doing it. So don't hesitate if you have questions, and so I hope it's clear. See you, bye bye.